Thanks so much for being with us. So, I mean, I think they're kind of familiar faces, but I'm just quickly going to say something. So, Audrey and Emma, they're both heading their nations for quite a long time already. So, CS France is led by Audrey, and she's also the person that has done so much for this conference. So she's the one in it. Emma is heading up CS Sweden for quite a long time already. I don't know how many years.
3? Not too many.
Okay, but I mean, it's more than I have. So Sharon is from South Africa and Roy's wife, but she's been in ministry all her life, kind of, yeah. So we're happy to have you. Then we have Reggie next to her. She's been planting Surf Church with Rich, her husband, whom we seen yesterday. And we have Mylène, who's also been in the organizing team, and she's head of CS France Girls. So we're happy to have you. Yeah. And I'm just going to do a round of questions and give each of you the time to speak. We have limited time, but I will give you signs. But yeah, I'm going to start with Reggie. And I was wondering, Reggie, how has your faith journey shaped your life?
It's prayer. And it's not the type of prayer where you just get bombarded by WhatsApp group saying, please pray for that and that. It's actually God challenged me during my life to really pray into things. And the way God answers prayer sometimes is completely different to what we think it would. So when I was praying, when God told me to pray for my husband, I didn't want to, because I was just happy to be single. And then I was planning to go to Israel, work there as a nurse. I was studying Ivrit and I needed English, and I met number 8 in England at Bible college. Number 8, that means the CS number 8, UK number 8. And if Rich was number 8, that means, Phil, what number were you? minus 10 or something. So I met Rich, and it was a huge roller coaster journey. And one of the biggest lies the devil tried to tell me when I was young was that life as a Christian would be boring. And Rich came into my life. And I think the partner God gives you for your lifetime definitely shaped my entire life. It was absolutely incredible. I think every day I want to be willing to listen to God and pray. And I think my mom and dad, my grandfathers and grandmothers, they were all believers. And it really, really shaped my life. I used to wake up as a girl going on holiday, and they were praying on their hands and knees. They were church planters. That really, really shaped my life. And then my dad and mom, to this day, they would pray 3 times a day with name for all of us. So I think prayer was, I would say definitely, is the huge, huge influence which shaped my life.
Thank you for sharing with us on the power of prayer. Beautiful. So, Audrey, I know you're working. You how can I say? You worked very hard in the past couple of weeks, but I think generally you're quite a motivated person. But what motivates you to do what you do?
So I did not grow up I'm French, as you know. I did not grow up in a Christian family, and at the age of 17, so at the age of 13, I stumbled into surfing for the first time, and through a surfing magazine that a friend brought over. And that summer, I tried surfing for the first time, and I absolutely fell in love with surfing. And that completely redirected our summers with my family, and we used to come here every summer growing up for surfing. And at the age of 17, I had the opportunity to go to Sydney for a year. I went to Maroubra, and I spent a year in Maroubra, and I ended up living with the pastor of the local Baptist church. So I was going to go to an Australian host family for a year to be an exchange student. And it happened that the host family were the pastors of the local Baptist church. And I didn't really know what the Christian faith was. The only thing I knew was the Catholic faith in France that was not very attractive to me. And when on the first Sunday I walked into a church in Maroubra, the Maroubra Baptist Church, and I felt the love that was in this room, and it was the evening service for young people, and people kept walking into the room with boat shorts and flip-flops and putting on a shirt as they would enter the room. With their surfboard, there were tons of surfboards on the left-hand side of the room. I was like, wow, what is this place? And there was a really big Christian Surfers chapter in this church, the Christian Surfers chapter from Maroubra Beach. And I befriended the guys and spent a year with them. They would take me surfing at 5 a.m. and we would spend our week together playing music and going surfing and getting to know Sydney and the Australian culture. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I had found the family which I belonged. And for the first time, I felt like I had met people like me, type of thing, that I had found my family. And this is why that's what motivates me to do what I do, because coming back to France a year later, I couldn't really find anything like that I had experienced in Sydney. So I kept going back to Maroubra for 10 years. Once or twice a year I went to Maroubra for 10 years because that was my church and they were my tribe. And years down the road, my friend Danny Dubois now from Maroubra, told me, Audrey, there is Christian surfers in France. And I was like, nah, in France you cannot be a Christian and a surfer. You can't have those two words together. If you're a Christian, you're pretty traditional. If you're a surfer, you're pretty cool. So in France, Christian surfers cannot exist in France. I know that. And Danny kept insisting, Audrey, there is Christian surfers in France. I know it because it's led by an Australian family. And I was like, no. 6 months later, he said, have you met Christian surfers in France? And I was like, no, they don't exist. I looked up on the internet, and sure enough, there was a phone number for Christian surfers. So I rang, and I got to the Austrian family, Christophe and Melissa Parenti, who had started Christian surfers here. And when I met them, I was like, yes, this is my family. And that's what motivates me to do what I do, to be able to provide a family for the others.
Nice. Thank you, Audrey. So we're heading over to Sharon, and I was wondering, what has been your journey to bring you to where you are today? Yeah.
So if I think back 30 years to what my future plan was with a nice box and a pretty bow, the Lord exploded that when I met Roy. So I was an inland girl, school teacher, didn't really go to the beach, didn't really like the beach. And then I met the crazy surfer of Roy, and he caught my heart, and God knew what I needed, and the Lord knew what he needed. So together, we have pioneered some. He had already started Christian Service South Africa by the time I'd met him, but together we pioneered it and established it together. Me mostly in a supportive role. I was a full-time school teacher, and we started Christian Sea Salt, which a year after we had moved from our family from Cape Town to Jeffreys Bay, Roy's like, sea salt. And I was like, are you nuts? and we did it anyway. And that's become a beautiful thing. And from there, we've transitioned from Roy going into the regional role for Africa, and then obviously into the role of international director. And that's been a beautiful journey for us as a family. When that came upon us, we were asked to travel the world as a family to meet all the nations as best we could. And at the time, the conservative, very calculated person was like, this is not possible. But the Lord has beautiful plans when you give him the script and you give him the pen. And so we embarked on that journey together as a family, where we've met many of you and spent time in your homes. And I have to say, as our family, that really birthed that family on mission for us. For our kids, Christian Surfers comes with a lot of sacrifice. Roy travels a lot, he's away. But for our kids, that was such a time of investment because we took the time to take them with. So when Roy leaves, and goes, I'm going to Peru, and they have very fond memories of Peru, and they go with our blessing, Dad. It's not this, they're Christian Surfers taking Dad away again, because they were brought in with the journey, which has been really special. And that leads us to today, and it's always such a privilege to be here. Again, the girl that still doesn't surf. My son has labeled me the beach dweller. And I'm like, well, there are many of us in the beach dweller space. For every surfer and every surfing community, the beach dwellers, I have my space. And for that, I'm very thankful.
Thank you so much. It's an important spot on the beach, actually, to be there. So, Milène, I was wondering, so what is your current vocation and what do you love about it? Maybe you can share on that. Just want to give you the most time you can have.
Sorry, I can speak in French and Audrey translate me, because my English is so. Mon mari, ma fille et moi-même avons déménagé à Hossegor il y a 2 ans.
My husband, our daughter and I moved to Hossegor 2 years ago.
Et Dieu a vraiment pourvu un job vraiment spécial pour moi.
And the Lord really provided with a specific job for me.
Au bon endroit, au bon moment.
At the right place, at the right time.
Dans un café où je suis barista.
In a coffee shop where I'm a barista.
C'est un café qui est très apprécié de la population locale et des surfeurs locaux.
People here and surfers here really love that cafe.
Et j'ai beaucoup de chance de travailler là.
And I'm very blessed to work over there.
Pour moi, c'était toujours très important de faire partie de la communauté locale en fréquentant les lieux que les locaux fréquentent.
It's always been important to me to be part of the local community by going and by being in the places where the locals go.
Ça fait quelques années que je fréquente beaucoup les cafés pour rencontrer les gens.
And I've spent a lot of time in coffee shops over the last few years to meet people.
Et parce que j'aime le bon café.
Also because I like good coffee.
Et c'est très spécial pour moi ce travail parce que vraiment, je communique beaucoup avec des gens qui reviennent chaque jour, 2 fois, 3 fois par jour.
And this job is very important for me because I get to talk to people who come back days after days.
Et avec ma famille, on vient aussi juste en tant que client.
And as a family, we also go and visit that cafe as customers.
Pour discuter différemment avec les gens.
To talk to other customers on a different, not on a work day.
Yeah. J'ai l'occasion de témoigner.
And that gives me the opportunity to testify.
Juste un exemple, pour discuter avec les gens, je fais partie des organisateurs de ce week-end.
So, for example, she told people that she was organizing this weekend.
And qu'est-ce qu'est Christian Surfer?
And people would ask, what is Christian Surfers about?
C'est juste très simple.
So it's very simple.
Les gens posent des questions.
People ask questions.
Et je voulais nous encourager à être là où les locaux sont.
And I wanted to encourage you to be where the people are, where the locals are.
Il faut que les gens voient votre tête
People
tous
need
les
to
jours.
see your face every day.
Et c'est très simple comme ça.
And it's very simple, but it's effective.
Voilà.
Voilà. Very beautiful. Just the last two comments made me think that sometimes it's not only what happens in the waters where we meet the community, but it's just beyond, and where we can also like spread the word or just like have a good conversation about God. Cool. Thanks. So, I have a last question for Emma. So, what has been your journey to bring you here today? It's similar to the question earlier, but yeah, curious to hear your story.
Yeah. I probably 10 years ago met some nice Christian surfers that impacted my life very much as a young adult and walked with me in faith, and that's been really, really strong for me personally to where I'm at today. And just probably 8 years ago, one friend called me and asked if I wanted to be a part of Christian Surfers Sweden. They wanted to start up, and I was like, yeah, I love surfing, I love Jesus, of course. I didn't know really what it was. Like, I met people and I loved them, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I was in the board for a couple of years. It didn't happen much, but we were there. And then maybe, I think 5 years ago, our national director wanted to step down. I'm going to be honest here. And because he didn't feel he could carry on this vision. And I was there hearing all this, and it was burning in my heart.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's still strong.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
But back then I was almost shaking and crying. I was like, no, this is too good. We can't stop. I'm sorry, I'm a bit sensitive.
No.
So I felt like I felt really strong that God wanted me to step in and say, hey, I'm available. So scary. I'm also pregnant and I'm a bit sensitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really a step in faith, because I didn't know how to lead organization, or I felt like everybody else were better suited for this than me, but no one stood up, and I was like, I really want this to continue. So yeah, there was crying and talking to Phil like, I can do it. Big, strong leader. Yeah, and I still don't know really what I'm doing sometimes. But here we are, and it's really clear to me that when I feel like I have nothing, God can step in and do everything. So I trust in Him with this. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Emma, for sharing. I actually can relate so much to what she just said, because I had the same thing happening last year in Germany, and it's like this burning heart that you have, and you just don't know what to do. Like because you never led something, and you never like been out there, but you just feel this burning, and you're like, no, there's someone that needs to like continue this. There's someone that needs to go forward, because I can feel this like heart for the surfers. And I don't know, and it's cool that you were so brave to step out, and I think we learn in the process, and I think that's the encouraging thing about it, and congratulations also. So thanks to the 5 of you. I know this was just limited time, but maybe if you're curious to hear more from them, or just like, yeah, I don't know, just dig a bit deeper, just come up and chat with them. I think they're happy to just, yeah, be ready to have a little chat. Yeah, thanks so much for being with us.